Hi everyone. So this will be the second video in the tutorial series on machine learning, and in this video we'll be talking about Scipy. So first question, what is Scipy? Scipy is a Python library for doing scientific calculations, basically. So the next question you might ask is how is it different from NumPy? And the answer to that is it's not really very different. Scipy is actually built on top of NumPy, so almost everything that you find inside inside NumPy will also be inside Scipy. So apart from all the basics that NumPy gives you, like the ND array objects and the matrix multiplication, matrix operations, it also gives you a few scientific calculations that might be useful. Like it gives you operations of linear algebra, it gives you algorithms and operations for doing clustering, and there's a lot of other things that you can do with Scipy. Case in point, like you can do clustering, you can do constants, you can actually even do Fourier transformations. We won't really be using that. So there's a lot of things that Scipy can actually do, but we obviously won't go through all the list because it's a really extensive list. What we'll do in this tutorial is we'll install Scipy and we'll do a quick tutorial where we'll use a k-means clustering algorithm to do the k-means clustering on set of data. So you don't have to worry about what k-means clustering actually means. We'll get to that in a later tutorial video, but this video is just going to be about how to install Scipy and how to start using Scipy. So having said that, let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is open our Python shell. I'm using Python 3. You can use anything you want. You can use Python 2 or Python 3. It should work on both sides. So the first thing we'll do is, so before I do this, I'll show you how to install Scipy. It's very simple. Like you just do pip install Scipy. I do pip3 because I'm on Python 3, but if you're on Python 2, you do pip install instead of pip3. So you say pip3 install Scipy. I already have it installed. Actually, let me do something. I'll just uninstall it and install it so you can see it. Uninstall Scipy. See, yes. So now I run the install script to install Scipy. It takes a little bit of time, but that should be fine. So we don't have to go through all the matrix multiplications because we already did that in the last NumPy tutorial, and if you've not watched it, you should watch that before you watch this. So now that we have installed Scipy, let's open our Python shell. Let's import Scipy. That's how you import Scipy. As simple as that. And then you can start using the operations that are there. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll be doing a small project where we'll be doing k-means clustering over a set of random data, just so I can show you how Scipy works. So let's get started with that. Like I said before, you don't have to worry about the technicalities of what we're doing here. We'll go into the algorithm later in the tutorial. Right now, it's only about how to make this work. So the first thing we'll do is we'll import NumPy. From NumPy, we'll import array because that's the only thing we'll be using. And then we'll also import from Scipy. We'll use the cluster part of Scipy. VQ. VQ is basically, it gives you a set of clustering algorithms and clustering functions that you need. Like it has functions like k-means, it has this function called whiten and stuff like that. You can read more about this in the documentation, official documentation, but for now, let's just proceed. K-means and whiten. I'll explain what whiten does once we get to it. So once we have this installed, we'll first create our features, which will basically be an array. So if you've seen, I've directly installed array here instead of doing import numpy as np and then do np.array. I've directly installed just the array part because that's all we'll be using. So we'll have a multi-dimensional array here, 1.9, 2.3, 1.5 and 0.5 and 2.5. Well, I could have copy pasted the script beforehand to save time, but when I watch online tutorials, I like to follow along, and I'm assuming a lot of people who are watching this would want to follow along, so that's why I'm typing, so you also get the same time to type, and you don't have to pause the video, so you can go back and type it and then come back and play it later. Both of us can type together. Okay, I'll keep it really small. So this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a 5-dimensional array. So we've got our features. The next thing is what we'll do is we'll whiten it. So basically what whitening set of data actually means is it's basically trying to feature scale it. What does feature scaling mean actually? So uh, like, or another word would be to normalize data. Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to put them all in a similar scale. Like you don't want to have numbers, like you don't want to have data set in such a way that few of your data points are in hundreds and few are in ones. Like you don't want to have a data point like 110 and then have another data point called 0.1, 0.3. What this would do is it would really screw up your learning algorithms. So you want to normalize them. So general way to normalize is to take a mean and then have everything centered to some value. So that is what whiten does. Like we'll go into details of how to normalize data and stuff like that in later videos. So whitening is a function that does it. So we'll call it whiten, which we've installed, which we've imported previously. We'll whiten the features and we'll store it in whiten. So now that we whiten, we'll create a new array called book. Whitened, I will pass in the first dimension. And now we can run the k-means algorithm. So we can run it on whiten and book. That's it. So you don't have to worry about what actually happened here, or what k-means means, what whitening means, and why is the book only the 0 and 2 dimension. We'll go into details of the algorithm later, but I just wanted to show you how Scipy, like how you can use Scipy. It's just like another Python library. It has a lot of methods for machine learning algorithms, clustering, and linear algebra that will be useful. Hopefully you've learned about Scipy and you have a basic idea of what Scipy actually does. Yeah, so that's about it. In the next tutorial, we'll be talking about matplotlib, which is more important and hopefully which is more interesting, and I can show you a lot of graphical stuff. So until then, goodbye. And thank you for watching the video.